right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Slamtown. You already know what it is. We love professional wrestling, and we show it, we talk about it, we break it down. I am Mike Inn. That's Dan Bakley. We take a subject, we're going to debate it till it's done. Don't forget, though, check out FightersFirst.shop. Get all the latest and greatest merch, including the Slamtown merch right below. Always FightersFirst.shop. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Dan, today's subject, it's on you, bro. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about, will Vince McMahon eventually sell the WWE or not?
Will Vinnie Mac sell the WWE, the family business that his dad started as WWF? All right, let's break that down. Will Vince McMahon ever sell WWE? I think the obvious answer is possibly. I think he did offer it. A couple things have come out in the last few months. Before Nick Khan came on and they were working out the deal with Fox, Vince McMahon and crew and negotiating team basically wanted somebody who was going to not only invest in the television deal, but come on and basically take over the majority of the company. They wanted to sell it to Fox. Fox wasn't buying it. They just wanted the TV rights. And that's kind of how we got to Nick Khan. Eventually, they bring in Nick Khan. Nick Khan has been doing his best since he brought on to bring the money right. He's been trying to cut payroll. He's been trying to cut people left and right to get to a vision, whether it's Vince's vision or Nick's vision. That's kind of a blurry line. But to this vision of what WWE can be, to be a fine-tuned running machine and a profitable running machine during a pandemic. And they've done that. They've survived the pandemic. They're thriving now. They're kind of coming out on the other side. We've lost a lot of notable talent, the Braun Strowmans, the Bray Wyatts, on and on. Keith Lee, who just went to AEW. So many names have left. Some made sense. Some didn't make any sense at all. And all of it has led the internet to just constantly be talking about, will Vince sell the WWE? I think the answer is yes. I think he would. I think for a long time we thought it was a family business. It would be left to Triple H and Stephanie. Shane kind of left to go do his cable company ventures and his side deals with the UFC and some of the other stuff he was working on. He had some stuff over in Europe he was working on, kind of went to do his own path before he eventually came back. It was going to be Triple H and Stephanie's company. Now, here's a little something that people don't know, Dan, at home. Nick Khan has been around the wrestling business his entire life. We didn't know it. We didn't know who Nick Khan was. We know who Tony Khan is. We didn't know who Nick Khan was. Turns out Nick Khan grew up with The Rock. Turns out Nick Khan's sister produces Young Rock. Nick Khan has been an executive in the entertainment industry for a long time now. He's been kind of staying away from the professional wrestling business, but he's been eyes on the prize probably his entire time because he grew up as a fan. He grew up around the Samoans. He grew up around Rocky. He grew up around all those people. And they've been friends since they were kids. Rock has posted pictures of them all together as kids and what they look like now. Obviously,
going on vacation to Hawaii and everything.
Yeah, vacations together. They're family friends. So there's two things, Dan. One, would he ever sell? Yes. I think the question is, would he sell to The Rock? Would The Rock come back home and take over WWE? What do you think about that?
That's where I was going to get to. If you look at everything that's happened. Yeah, I was being nice to you. You know, got to let me say something first before. But
nope.
I was going to go into it before you.
I'm the Tony Khan of the show. I'm creative director.
Sure, I'll give you the credit for right now. But if you look at everything going on the past couple of years with the WWE, they've gotten rid of over 80 plus wrestlers to cut that. The WWE network was basically in the negatives, and what they did was they sold the network itself. They sold all the content to Peacock, which was a $1 billion venture in itself. So now Peacock runs the content portion. That they just recently sold a small deal with Disney. So in other countries, their stuff goes through Disney. And then they've already partnered with Disney in the past.
Especially in India.
Of course, USA Network has Raw. What you're getting into with
USA is NBC and Peacock. That's all the same universe.
the whole same thing. But then their big thing was they wanted to sell the whole company to Fox, but Fox was like, that's too much money. And then that's why Fox zeroed in on SmackDown, because they could get it for a cheaper price, not have to pay all that for everything, and they can just have their footprint on that. So they got Fox. You got, of course, with Disney, it's Hulu, because the next day after anything airs, it always goes on to Hulu, and same thing with the Peacock with the content there. And then knowing that when you have all that stuff taken care of, you kind of need just somebody to run the day-to-day. If you got Nick Khan already there doing everything, he has the close ties to The Rock. The Rock has a lot of money. Of course, when
a lot of money
XFL,
and also a lot of contacts in Hollywood.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're about to mention the XFL, which he just bought from Vince.
Which he just bought from Vince, which coincidentally, it's The Rock and his ex-wife who are going to be the co-owners. I think his ex-wife are going to run that. He has plenty of money to take on the WWE. He could just be like the money factor or the face of WWE. He can let Nick Khan run it, have other pieces in place like the Bruce Pritchards, HBKs, all the producers that are there that are already doing the job. And as long as you have somebody there that can make the decisions, because I think Triple H, his health is going to prevent him from doing it. I think that's the big thing with everything going on. If Triple H health wasn't an issue, maybe he would stick with running the day-to-days in WWE. But with the health issues, I don't think he will. I think Stephanie McMahon found her niche with the Connor's Cure, all the foundations and all that stuff. That
she's in charge. She's still in charge of all the merchandise too. I'm pretty sure she runs all the merchandise.
The merchandise. She runs all that. Shane wants to do his own thing. He's kind of been like
Shane
that.
Might have gotten fired, depending who you talk to.
It's depending on that. So it's like. And then Linda McMahon has been doing everything with the whole government, legislative, political aspects. So it's like the one name would be like the fact that Nick Khan has taken over, kind of helped them make money, and the product has kind of changed. NXT has switched over to more of like a developmental like it was before, but this time instead of bringing indie stars in, they are bringing people with no experience, but they're athletes like football players, volleyball,
they're kind of calling it like an NFT type thing,
yeah, and they're kind of building up the wrestlers there so they can create the gimmick there. So when they call it up, they're already ready to go. They don't have to bring them up and then change anything with them like they did before. It wasn't necessarily that NXT the stars weren't good enough. It's just that they didn't want to change anything. It was just easier to homegrown them and build them from the ground up, and then have them be a ready product when they get called up eventually. I think that's what they wanted to do. So it's kind of like they gutted some of the wrestlers in the short term. So in the short term, it's going to be bad, but in the long term, for WWE standard, it's going to be better because it'll be more organic, and they don't have to grasp at straws to develop superstars. And I think having a wild card in The Rock taking over, he's been through all that. He's been developed through WWE system. Like he didn't go do any wrestling on the indies where he came up, developed, and they brought him in at a young age.
There's a side note to that. Funny enough, The Rock tried to go to WCW before WWF, and nobody wanted to work with him. And
exactly,
and that's how he kind of like stumbled into WWF, and then of course the rest is history. But that's a funny little side note I thought I'd throw out there.
Yeah, but I think with him, it's just that he just has to be the face. You already have all the people running the day-to-days already there set in stone. So he just has to be the guy on face air to smile, nod, and act like he's in charge. And then until Vince, you can still have Vince there. Maybe Vince sells, and then they ask Vince to stay until he actually retires. He can still do everything that he does, kind of like the Dana White way, where Dana White did sell, but then they asked him to stay in place because they liked what he did. So until he's done, until he's unable to do the job, he could kind of be there and kind of groom somebody or groom Nick Khan more to the point where when he has to leave, that he knows he can trust Nick Khan doing his job when he leaves.
I'm trying to look up right now. The Rock had a major investor with him and Danny buying XFL. It was and I'm trying to find it was like Red Eye, Red Pilot, I can't remember what the name of the other company was. Redbird Capital Partners. So Redbird Capital Partners, sorry folks, I wasn't just looking at my phone. I was looking something up. Redbird Capital Partners is the $1 billion behind The Rock. Like it's a close guy he works with on a lot of financing projects. Him and Danny kind of run the day-to-day. They like being hands-on. But as far as the money, because The Rock gets paid $20-30 million a movie, but that's not by WWE type money, not when they're looking for $2 billion. But could The Rock put in his own starting seed? Absolutely. Could Redbird Capital come in and put in the rest? Absolutely. They're billionaires.
Exactly.
So it's a huge venture firm headed by a friend of his. The Rock has connections from here to there. Could The Rock buy WWE? He could. Will he? I'm not sure that's really feasible for him, but it is family for him. It is home, and it's something Vince would feel comfortable selling because he knows the product will be taken care of for generations to come. That said, I don't think it'll be The Rock that buys it. I think it'll be Disney. I think Disney eventually will come in and scoop it up once this whole pandemic kind of starts to ease up a little bit and their money comes back from the theme parks and the movies and they get the movie theater movie with Marvel and all, like things go back to business a little bit more in the next couple of years. I could see Disney being like, all right, let's just take this property too, like they were in the buying spree before the pandemic, right? When they bought up Fox and they bought up Marvel and they bought up all this.
And just like I said before, they've already sprinkled in a little bit of some of the
and I'm sorry, 20th Century Fox, not Fox.
Yeah, they've already taken some of the content for other countries that can't get Peacock. That's their avenue of watching content for WWE,
especially India with all their millions of people.
Yeah.
So I do see WWE actually selling in the next 5 years. I think they will. I don't know how Vince's health is. You're talking about a guy who I believe is like around 80 at this point. He'll tell you he's perfectly fine. He's like, go crush you can't. Boom. I'm Vince McMahon. I still pick him in a fight with Tony Khan. Absolutely. But the thing about Vince was family for a long time. But once he became a billionaire, you kind of saw some of those things kind of changing, right? You saw him putting more structural things in place because they were now a publicly traded company. Once they became publicly traded, all right, well, Stephanie, you do this, and Triple H, you do this. And then you kind of saw the writing on the wall when they started selling off some of their stock for like multi-million-dollar times. Like Triple H sold like $20 million in stock, and Vince would sell like $100 million in stock, and Stephanie would sell like another $50 million in stock. And I'm throwing those numbers out. I know they're not 100% accurate, but these things happen. And you saw the stock sell-offs, and you kind of start thinking, like, are they ready to get out? And then you mentioned Triple H's health. We don't know. He's supposed to be a couple weeks back from coming back soon. He's been out since he had the heart attack or cardiac event, as they're labeling it. Does he go back to just running NXT? Does he go back to being just a COO and kind of staying in the office for a little while? And we don't see him until like WrestleMania season or something like that. We know WWE is about moments. It's about WrestleMania. It's about SummerSlam. It's about Survivor Series and Royal Rumble. And then everything else kind of just falls in place like around it, you know? I could see WWE selling 100%. And I don't even think it's a secret at this point. Go ahead, say what you're going to say.
No, I was going to say, like, I think that most likely is Disney, but what would be a bigger, better moment for the company than at next year WrestleMania in Los Angeles if you have The Rock come out and say that he just bought WWE from Vince McMahon and the biggest stage on the mall in the city that he basically runs right now because he's one of the biggest paid actors, A-list actor right now. How big of a moment would that be? Have him come out and be like, I just bought the WWE, and see everybody's face just go in that SoFi Stadium.
Everybody could be right because
The
Rock has been doing a lot with Disney lately with Jungle Cruise and some other projects he's been working on. there could be that relationship there as well, where Disney could be 50-50 partners with them, or just be a part of it so they have all the streaming rights. There's a number of ways to go about that, above my pay grade, but I could see that happening too, where they both own it.
Since he has so many connections, he can use the connections to build that relationship with them even farther, where just like you said, 50-50, or maybe like they back the money and then he make sure the day-to-day stuff gets done. And then he can
take over a CEO type role.
Yeah, it could be a situation where he can kind of take a back seat to act and not have to act, and then he could just make money off of the company and start building those stocks and putting money away that way. And that way, like, he has his daughter that's in developmental right now. She's been hurt the past couple of years. Yeah, him and his wife have kids, or young kids right now. He can kind of just do that and be around a little bit more with his kids. And then
The Rock turns 50 this year. I know it's kind of impossible to think. The Rock is getting old. The Rock turns 50 this year. And even though Arnold Schwarzenegger can still pull off an action role and Sylvester Stallone can pull off an action role, those roles aren't meant to be forever. You're supposed to be in your prime. You're the big bulking Hulk guy, and then kind of go about your business. The Rock has always been very smart. He knew his time with wrestling was kind of going downward a little bit. So guess what he did? He saw the writing on the wall in Hollywood, took a jump, went with it.
Yep.
Same thing he did before wrestling when he saw the NFL and CFL and football wasn't working out. He took the leap back into wrestling, which was the family business. Hollywood is not slowing down for him anytime soon. Let's not get it twisted. He's still one of the most in-demand actors on the planet. But over the next couple years, he might decide, you hit 50, let's transition to the next thing. Let's go home. And I can see that too. I do see that. I think Disney will be heavily involved no matter what the thing is. I think the Fox ship has sailed. I don't think Fox is jumping back into it. I don't think the returns on SmackDown have been what they hoped they would be.
I actually think that they've actually done really good. And I think that's why you see Fox go, I want this person on here. I want this one. That's why they did that trade for Charlotte. That's why they had Brock on there for the beginning, and that's why they kind of transitioned. It was like, okay, if we can't have Brock, we want Roman now. We want here Roman. They want the A-list.
They definitely have a lot of power. I mean, they put $1 billion into the product. I mean, they have the power. I just don't.
And that's why
you're getting $1 billion worth, especially through the pandemic.
Well, yeah.
Are they treading water? I'll give you that one. I think they're treading water, but I don't think they're getting the giant return they thought they were going to get. You've seen shows switch over to FX or whatever. There's a special on Fox. You've seen the same thing. Raw just went on Sci-Fi last night or a couple weeks. I'm sorry, we're recording this
last week, and it's gonna be doing it again this week.
Yeah, they went on Sci-Fi a couple times. They do that every time there's something going on USA. It's all like different networks, same families, right?
Yeah.
Universal and Fox. That's the two networks they go on. To wrap this thing up, I think Dan and I both agree, yes. WWE, absolutely. If the price is right, Vince is like, write me the check. I'm walk off in the sunset, enjoy my grandkids for a couple years, and do what I do. I think I don't think he ever gets burned out, because I think Vince is one of those dudes, kind of like Joe Paterno in your neck of the woods, right? Like, once he stopped working with the whole Sandusky thing, but once he stopped working, he passed away, like almost instantly. Like, there was nothing left for him to do. I kind of worry about that for somebody like Vince McMahon, because he goes to work every day. Like, that's what he does. It's his life. And he does love his family. He spends a lot of time with his grandkids. If you hear any of the stories off camera, he spends a lot of time with his grandkids and family. He loves family. But Stephanie is definitely involved in several corporate ventures outside of WWE. She's been doing a lot of charity stuff, a lot of work. Yes. We don't know what Triple H's health is. We just don't know. There's just a big mystery. And we know Shane is involved in a lot of business ventures. The family has kind of moved on. And I think Triple H is going to be the one kind of left holding the bag, because he was the one always thought, okay, I kind of married into this and I'm going to be the next in line. And now he's not. Now he's not going to be the next in line.
Yeah, because I think that big thing was health. I think initially it was going to be, okay, Triple H is going to take it over. But now with the health, now Vince, I think, is thinking, oh, I don't want anything bad to happen to him because he's with my daughter and they have kids. I want to make sure that she's set up after I leave. I don't want her being on her own. So if I can set everything up to where, because he already has all this money in stocks, that he can just take it out, they can live financially perfectly fine the way that they are until they're old. And the kids will be set up already, and then I have somebody already set in stone after that. I think he's thought about that.
Last episode, we talked about what the future for Cody is.
Yeah.
How funny would it be if Cody leaves AEW and Triple H shows up?
Oh my God!
I don't think that would happen in a million years, but I think it's funny.
If there was ever a time for it to happen,
it would be very ironic.
It could be Tony Khan would be like, oh, here's the guy that's helping me run the show, and it's Triple H. Come out as Paul Levesque.
Yeah, as Paul Levesque. Yeah, that would just like, yeah. That's a topic for another day. Yeah. But I think we agree. I think WWE is definitely available for the right price. They've already offered it. A lot of people don't realize it. They have offered it to Fox, and Fox chose to do the broadcasting rights instead. Disney had the same offer. Disney's chose to do different avenues. So they've tried to sell to the big boys with the whole. Well, there was also one thing we should mention. There was a string attached with the whole selling to Fox, is that Vince wanted to stay involved until Vince was ready to move on. It was basically like, you get the company when I move on. You own it now, you operate it, but I still run it day to day. Basically, he would become an employee at that point until he was ready to move on. Disney, I don't think, would give that same opportunity because Disney bought Star Wars and kicked George Lucas out. Like they want their own projects. It's no different than Vince bringing a Kevin Steen in and calling him Kevin Owens, or a Walter and calling him Gunther. Vince is going to do what Vince wants to do. Disney's going to do the same thing. So that is that. Dan, any last words before we get out of here?
I'm just waiting to see whenever this whole thing happens. I'm waiting and willing to see who it is, what actually it's going to take place, and when. I'm excited because it's going to be sooner rather than later.
Well, that is that. Will WWE sell eventually, or now, or soon? Will Vince sell the brand? Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Tell us what you want to talk about next. We'll try to hit up the subjects that you're interested in. For Dan Bakley, I'm Mike Yin. Check out fightersfirst.shop. Get the merch. Support the show. We're out.